and welcome back to Crazy Dave's Kitchen, where today we're making sandwich rye bread. And it's a rather large recipe. We're going to be making 3 loaves is what this recipe is going to yield. Already in the mixing bowl, I have 2 3/4 cups of warm water, about 100 to 110 degrees, along with a whopping 6 3/4 teaspoons of dry active yeast. Or in other words, it would be like 3 of the envelopes. If you buy it in the envelopes, it would be 3 of the envelopes and 2 3/4 cups of warm water. Now to that, our ingredients are going to be 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar, 2 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of caraway seed, 1 teaspoon of fennel seed, 1 teaspoon of freshly grated orange peel, 2 tablespoons of oil. I'm using vegetable oil. You can use corn oil. You can also use olive oil if you wish, but just regular oil. Well, those are the oils basically. I mean, I wouldn't recommend grapeseed oil or anything like that. We also have some molasses, a 1/4 cup of molasses. That's okay, a 1/4 cup of molasses. We have 1 cup of rye flour, and we also have 3/4 cup of whole wheat flour, and then we have a whopping, I can't even see it in the camera here, but I have a whopping 6 3/4 cups of bread flour, which we may or may not use all of it. We're going to see how that kind of all comes together. So in the mixing bowl, right now I'm going to add the brown sugar, big splash. We're going to add the salt, the seeds, orange peel. We're going to basically add all of our ingredients in and start this mixing. So we're going to add all the spices, all the extras. I'm going to add the oil in here. We'll get the molasses. That'll be fun. And that's for added flavor. There we go, just like so. I'm going to add the rye flour, the whole wheat flour, and I kind of hope that all of this fits into the blender or the mixer. We're going to mix this first, and then once we start forming a dough, then we're going to put the dough hook in for the kneading process. So there we go. That's our starting mix, so to speak. So we're going to put this down, lock it in place, and just start stirring and mixing this in. As that starts to mix together, we're going to be adding more flour to the mix until we get a nice soft dough. Still looks rather sticky on the paddle attachment. So when we switch over to the dough hook, it'll be a little better. Hopefully. Okay, so that's thickening up a little bit, still pretty sticky. We're going to throw in the rest of our flour and then add the dough hook here to mix it up. That's a nice good initial mix in getting things combined. Just try and swap that one out, swap this one in. And now that I've got my hands all messy, we'll add more flour in here. As you can see, it's still kind of on the damp side, and that's not quite what we're looking for. Get some more flour in there, get the dough hook locked in. We don't want it everywhere, but and then you know the deal is we're waiting for it to form into a nice kneaded ball, which we'll then throw into an oiled bowl and let it rise for an hour. This is much more dough than we've worked with before. It will all eventually start to work its way in and form a nice soft dough. It looks kind of scraggly right now, but we'll get to that point. It just takes a little time. Okay, so as you can see, without breaking the mixer, we have a pretty nice, solid, all-together dough mass, which is great for the first mix there. It's a little dry. Maybe could have. Oops. You can see I didn't use all of the flour. There's still a little bit left over, and perhaps I should have really went with a little bit less. But hey, that's the joy of baking and the joy of making mistakes together. But it doesn't really look like a mistake. It looks like it came out pretty well. It's a nice firm piece of dough here. So I'm going to take a bowl. A large bowl, and I'm going to go and throw some oil in there. Again, I'm going to just use some vegetable oil, about a tablespoon or so. So we're just going to pour a little oil in there, mix it around on the sides so when the dough rises it doesn't stick to the sides. We'll just do this real quick. Just like so. And again, we don't want the dough to dry out. That's really why we do this. So we're going to go and coat the top nice. We're going to coat the bottom. We're going to cover this with a towel. I had a red towel a minute ago, but now I don't see it. But, good one, Dave. Way to be. All right, ta-da, instant red towel. So we're just going to coat this with a towel, cover it with a towel, coat it with a towel, cover it. We're going to leave it right here, right in this spot for 1 hour and rise, and then we're going to cut it apart and put it into loaf pans, and then we're going to let it rise again. So there we go. it was pretty easy. It's a lot of ingredients, came together a little on the fast side, but I think it'll all work out, even though we didn't add all the flour. You don't have to add all the flour. The recipe is really somewhere around 5 3/4 to 6 3/4 cups of bread flour, and we came close. So we'll see you back in about an hour. Okay, so here we are, an hour later. Here's our bread. You can see that it's risen nice. Now we're going to punch it down and break it into 3 even pieces. So I'm going to be using my scale. I'm going to try to estimate what 3 even pieces would look like by cutting it with our bench scraper. Hello. Sorry, it's a little later at night than I imagined it would be. 109, 108. Well, we're about the same. 109. There you go. So about 109 each. So I'm just going to form this. I have 3 greased bread pans. So we're just going to kind of form this into a loaf. After a ball and into a loaf. Something like this. And then these are actually going to just sit in the loaf pan for another hour. So again, there's one. Got another loaf pan here. Looking pretty good. And here, just try to stretch this out a little bit. Just like so. And I've greased these with some Crisco. You can also use butter. Even though they're non-stick, a little extra insurance there. So here we are. Here's our 3 bread pans with our 3 loaves in here. We're going to cover these with a towel. Here we go. We're going to let these sit and rise for another hour, 1 more hour. So cover those up like so. 1 more hour, and then we will be back to bake these in the oven. We're going to preheat our oven to 350 degrees just before the end of the rise, the second rise. So see you back here in an hour so we can see how these things turn out. Okay, so here we are an hour later, and we unveil. And we have 3 beautiful loaves of rye bread ready for the oven. And so we're going to go ahead and move these into the oven. The oven is preheated to 350 degrees. And we're going to bake them for 40 minutes. And at the end of the 40 minutes, we're going to take them out, let them cool. And we are going to be all set with our sandwich rye bread. That we're going to make some sandwiches with in a preceding video. So bear with us, and once we get it all done, I'll show you the final product. And there we have it, fresh out of the oven. I've given it some time to cool, and each one of these loaves is nice, and you can see how soft that is. Nice, soft. 3 loaves of beautifully done sandwich rye bread. Anyway, thanks again for tuning in to Crazy Dave's Kitchen, and we'll see you next time. Here in Crazy Dave's Kitchen, I used this fancy thing I got on Amazon, a bamboo bread slicer, to slice the bread. So once the bread was cooked, you can see it came out really nice It's the next day, it's still very soft. So to make toast or things like that, in this little slicer, it's already got slots, comes with a knife, and really easy, just slice it. It's got a little crumb catcher at the bottom, so it doesn't make a mess all over your countertop. And you just easily slice the bread. Perfect for toast, sandwiches, and so forth. I even have, I've got some plastic bags that I can go ahead and put the sliced bread into. And there's different sizes. This is obviously the thicker side. This over here, they have thinner sizes that you can slice the bread depending on the consistency of the bread. But you'll see how easy this is to have really uniform, as I move this out of the way a little bit, uniform sliced bread, really quick and easy, especially if you're making a lot of it. This is the 3-loaf rye bread that we just made. And you can see it slices up really nice. And then I can just quickly slip it into a plastic bag and leave it on the countertop, or you can even freeze it if you wanted to, and then pop it in and make toast. And it's a great little way to make bread, or you can just put it in a little bag and share it with your friends. So there you go. That's your little tip of the day, slicing tip of the day from Crazy Dave's Kitchen. We'll see you soon.